Good evening, grade 8. This is lesson 1 of unit 4 about the chemical reactions, and this is the rest of the lesson about balancing equations. Now, before we start how to balance equations, we should know what is the conservation of mass. Now, we know that the matter is neither created nor destroyed. So, we have to know that when we have an equation of reactants, as we said here, we said that these are reactants, these are products. So we say that always the mass of the reactants should be always the same mass of the products. Now this made the scientist to create something called balancing equations in order to have the same mass on both sides. So the law of conservation means that the chemical equation must show the same number and kind of atoms on both sides of the arrow. Before I start to show you how to balance equations, I have to show you something. We have two types of numbers on the equations. For example, if we have here H2O, okay, or we have 2H2O, you know that this is the molecule of water. This is a water molecule. So this number, we call it coefficient number. Concentrate. This is coefficient number, and this is subtract number. So what is the difference between the two numbers? We have the coefficient number means that we have in the equations two water molecules, the whole molecule. But this means that we have here, this number belongs only to the number on its left, okay? And we always write the coefficient number as a big number, and the subtract we write it in small like this. So we say that the coefficient number means that the whole molecule, how much water molecule in the whole, we are talking about the whole molecule. And the subtract is talking about only the hydrogen. And I should say that if you have like this molecule, you say that you have how many hydrogen atoms do you have? We have 2 by 2, which equals 4 atoms. Why? Because if you have like this, you just like consider it like brackets, okay? So you say that 2 multiplied by 2 and 2 multiplied by 1, because we don't have number here. We consider like the oxygen, it's only 1 atom because no number written here. So when you have an atom with no number, you consider it 1. So how many atoms of oxygen do you have? Okay, we have 2 by 1, which equals 2 oxygen atoms. I think it's understood now. So we have to distinguish between the coefficient number and the subtract number. Okay, now let's go to this example and see how to balance equations. This is a very important thing because you are going to study this later on in grade 9. So please concentrate with me. Now we have here this equation, carbon, okay, react with oxygen to gives you CO, okay, which is carbon monoxide. So we have here this, just like a diagram, they say that this carbon, it's only one atom, and the oxygen here 2 atoms, gives you CO, C and O, both 1 and 1 atoms, okay? Now how to see that this is not a balanced equations? Why this is not a balanced equations? Look at this. We see that we have here 1 atom of carbon, and here we have 1 atom of carbon. But here we have 2 atoms of oxygen, and here we have 1 atom of oxygen. This means that this equation is not balanced. So we have to do something here. We have to make another step. Look at this. They multiplied, or they put a coefficient here before the C to have two atoms of carbon. Okay, but why? Look at this. They changed the number of oxygen into 2 by putting a coefficient number here. Okay, and then immediately, okay, as a consequence, the carbon changed into 2 because they put the coefficient before the CO. So the 2 here goes to both C and O. So that the atoms of carbon changed. Then you have to change the other side. So you put here 2 in order to make it also 2. So now you see another time we have 2 carbons, 2 oxygens, 2 carbons, and 2 oxygens. Then this equation is balanced. Let's do it again. We have here C plus O2 gives you CO. Now you write it like this. It's easy for you. You put the carbon, okay? We have 1 atom of carbon, and the oxygen, we have 2 atoms of oxygen. And here you put on the other side, the carbon's also 1, the oxygen 1. You go now. This equation is not balanced because the number of oxygens in both sides is not the same. So you go to the other step. How to do this? You have to make the oxygens 2. So you put here coefficient number. You then calculate it again. You see that the carbon then changed to 2 because the coefficient gave it 2 atoms, and the oxygen here 2. But something went wrong because we have here the carbon, now it's 1. So we have to do a third step to put 2 before carbon. Then we have carbon, it's 2, and here carbon, it's 2, the oxygen 2, and the oxygen 2. So this equation is balanced. Let's take another example. We have this example at your book. You have to do it by your own. Let's do it together. Now, we have here H2 plus O2 gives you H2O. So how many hydrogen atoms do we have? Look at the subscript. We have 2. How many oxygen atoms do we have? Also the subscripts, we have 2. Now the hydrogen here on the other side, we have it also 2. But the oxygen, we have it here 1. So this equation is not balanced. Why? Because the number of the oxygen here is 2 and the number of oxygen here it's 1. So they should be equal. So what to do? We have to do something. Now, we have to put something here, okay, before the H2O in order to change the number of oxygen from 1 to 2. So I have to put something here, 2, number 2, okay. Now you are going to have, okay, you label this like 2 of hydrogen, water molecules. So now, how many hydrogen atoms do we have? You go like they are brackets here, okay? So you see that hydrogen now it's 4, and the oxygen now it's 2. Okay, now before we do anything here, okay, you see that the oxygen is 2 and the hydrogen is 2, but we have here the hydrogen is 4, so you have to do something. You have to put here what? 2, okay? Now, you see that the hydrogen here goes 4 and the oxygen 2, and the hydrogen here 4 and the oxygen 2. So should we put anything here? No, we don't put anything here. So you see that this equation now it's balanced. So what do we have? 2H2 plus O2 gives you 2H2O.